Hello, and welcome to the EDU-Talk series hosted by Biotone Edu Partner Program, and massage industry experts. Thank you for attending tonight. With the challenges facing the massage industry educators, students, and practicing massage therapists during COVID-19, Biotone EDU-Talk series supports the new norm of virtual learning experiences by connecting schools, students, and therapists with knowledgeable industry experts, providing topics to discuss in class and food for thought for career success. Tonight's industry expert is Jodi, massage therapist since 1994, educator, international speaker, and most recently, author of Body Blueprint, How Your Pain Tells a Story. Jodi's EDU-Talk will reveal how the body is a blueprint and chronic pain is often rooted in layers of mental and emotional traumas. In the time we have tonight, Jodi will focus on common pain patterns in the low back, shoulders, and knees. Listen and learn how, as a therapist, a client's chronic pain is not always physical. Feel free to use your chat button in the lower nav bar during the conversation to ask Jodi any questions. They'll be answered at the end. And going forward, you can reach Jodi at jodischoles.com, or on her screen is her email address, and she'd welcome communication. All right, Jodi, here you go.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Janelle. That was a lovely introduction. And we will address all of your questions at the end of the session. It's going to be a brief session, so we'll have cover quite a bit of ground, but we will make time for those questions. Down at the bottom of your screen, there's a nav bar, and you can use the little message bubble for chat. You also have the option in your upper right-hand corner to see speaker view or a gallery view, depending on what you prefer. So, but thank you so much for having me. One of my favorite quotes is from Carolyn Mace. She says that our biography becomes our biology. Our biography becomes our biology. What does this mean? Well, I can give you a great example from starting right out of the gate with my client, Todd. Todd is a retired U.S. Navy pilot, 20 years of service. He jumped out of planes. He survived a helicopter crash. And on any given day, he could be flying 1,000 miles per hour, really compacting his spine. And as a result, it'll be no surprise to you that these days, when Todd wakes up in the morning, he can barely walk. His biography, his lifestyle, showed up in his biology, but there's more. Todd was prescribed opioids to deal with his pain. No surprise, he became addicted. None of us realized that when he was going through getting off of the opioids were the mental and emotional underpinnings of his time in the service. I mean, he had survived ambushes, obviously jumped out of planes. I mean, he had a crazy lifestyle. Saw a lot of things that he didn't talk about. What we didn't realize that a part of his healing process would be to heal himself, not only physically to get off of being addicted, off of the opioids, but in doing that, he would also have the opportunity to address his mental and emotional traumas on that journey. Todd kicked the habit, but he demonstrates both physically, mentally, and emotionally how our biography becomes our biology. This means that all of our experiences impact our body. Our physical experiences, our mental experiences, our emotional experiences impact our body. That means everything matters. Our thoughts matter, our beliefs matter, our feelings matter. They matter because it impacts our bodies. I was working with a client about maybe 15 minutes into the session, and I thought I heard her crying, and indeed she was crying. And I was like, ugh, for those of you who do body work, you know, crying, bad sign. I thought somehow that maybe I had heard her, and I asked, I was just working on her lower leg. And she said, you know, I'm recently divorced. And I just remembered sitting on the kitchen floor with my knees tucked up under my chin and my husband, ex-husband, kicking me. She said, I'd kind of forgotten about that. She was having what body workers would call a somatic emotional release. She knew exactly, actually, why she was crying, but that memory had been released from the tissue. As that tissue released, the memory bubble came through. This is another example of clients healing, not just on a physical level, but on an emotional and on a mental level. Now, there are thousands of texts written about this stuff. A lot of books from traditional Chinese medicine. There are books about Native American healing. There's writings by authors like Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and Joe Dispenza. But lucky for you tonight, you don't have to read all those books to understand this concept. We're going to go through it tonight. Today, I get to share with you the body blueprint. It's a simple outline of the body and a couple techniques to use to determine if your client's pain or your pain is simply physical or if there are deeper roots to that pain. So we'll talk about 3 parts of the body tonight, just 3 parts. We're going to talk about shoulders, we're going to talk about low back, and we're going to talk about knees. But in my book, I talk about 15 different things. And as we go on this journey together, there will be examples, client examples of people who had straight up physical pain and then people who had an emotional connection with their pain. So as we go through these examples, I'd like you to take on the mindset of kind of being a detective. And we're going to investigate to see what's going on the surface and below the surface, staying within scope of practice, of course. Let's start off with the shoulders. Now, one of my clients, we'll call her Christy, and she had right shoulder pain for about 3 months. So we went through the process. We did the body work. She had came in and she had already had the shoulder pain for 3 months. So step number 1, investigate the pain. Step number 1, investigate the physical pain. Chronic pain indicates we need to do a deeper dive. Acute pain, then you know where it came from. The client knows where it came from. Acute pain is happening for a reason. Chronic pain, we get to investigate. So I asked Christy if she's doing any activities that would knowingly make the situation worse. Is she playing tennis? Is she painting houses? Is she a trapeze artist? No, none of that. So we work on her once a week for 3 weeks, no improvement. We go through the traditional means here. She makes an appointment with the ortho. She gets the MRI diagnosis. She has a rotator cuff tear. Not sure where it came from, but she gets surgery. She goes through PT. She's almost good as new. Straight up physical. Christy. Let's compare that to Valerie. Valerie comes in, she's had right shoulder pain for 3 months. And same type of thing. We ask, we investigate the physical pain. Chronic pain is the one, remember, that indicates a deeper dive, more detective work, more investigation is good. So pain can be a sign of injury. So I asked Valerie if she's had any mishaps with her shoulder, like, walking the dog and the leash gets pulled, or she's had a fall while she's skiing. But nope, shoulder pain came out of the blue. And I love out of the blue. It's never out of the blue. So could it be overuse? Is she kickboxing at the gym? Is she a FedEx delivery driver and lifting big things over her head? Nope, none of that. Same process. Goes, once a week for 3 weeks, no improvement, makes an appointment with the ortho, gets an MRI, nothing's wrong. Now for the fun. We get to investigate more. Nothing's wrong. Her shoulder hurts. Something's wrong, right? So here's step number 2. We get to step number 1, investigate the physical, especially when it's chronic pain. Step number 2, investigate the mental emotional. And there's some pretty simple guidelines to, is there an underpinning, an emotional or mental root to this pain? So her, Valerie's pain is right shoulder. And in traditional Chinese medicine, and I introduced this actually into the session, I basically say, hey, sometimes pain has a story to tell. Traditional Chinese medicine says the shoulders represent responsibility. The right side of the body represents the masculine energy, the yang energy. The left side of the body represents the feminine. So right side masculine, left side feminine. We ask Valerie, hey, are there any responsibilities that you've taken on lately that are more usually traditionally masculine? She gets really quiet. Turns out that when she and her partner decided to start a family, they both had really good paying jobs. Well, her partner got laid off, and they've been relying solely on her income. And now her partner is loving being a stay-at-home dad. They're living off her salary, and it's fine. She says, "Oh, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Really, we've talked about it." But she says, "I am starting to get a little jealous that he gets to spend so much time with the kids." Bullseye. The right shoulder pain, shoulders representing responsibility, things like having the weight of the world on your shoulders, putting your shoulder to the wheel. This is an example of a mental, emotional trigger that's causing that's contributing to some physical pain. She decides, actually in this case, Val decided that she would talk to her husband about it and just communicate. And you know what? What a coincidence. The shoulder pain went away. Not really a coincidence, right? Yeah. Let's jump into low back, because this is going to go quick, but I hope you enjoy this. So low back, oh my goodness. So one of my clients, we'll call her Danielle, had left side lower back pain in the glute specifically. And so we worked it, and there wasn't a lot of progress. We had ruled out injury, accidents, all of that stuff. And Danielle asked, hey, what does the left hip, represent? What does the left glute represent? Well, typically glutes represent, in traditional Chinese medicine again, unexpressed anger. And guys, this isn't stuff I'm pulling out of the air. This is stuff that has been written about for thousands of years. I simplify it and bring it to you as an additional tool in your toolbox. So Danielle and I are talking, and I said, well, it's left side, so right side represents masculine, left side represents feminine. So this is some feminine issue, not feminine, a role that's typically feminine, grandmother, mother, daughter. And there's some unexpressed anger, potentially. She said, well, that's interesting. I'm about to tell my son that I can't give him any more money. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. Oddly enough, after she had the conversation, she said, gosh, I was just stretching my hips and seemed to be fine. an example, whether it be that she's a runner, a tennis player, all of those things contribute. But what her awareness was around her left hip, her left glute tightness. By comparison, Dan came in and he had some tightness, bilateral tightness on both his glutes. And Dan is an accountant. He doesn't work out. And as I was doing the work with him, I said, golly, Dan, did you like start a new workout routine? Are you working out with a trainer? Like, what is going on? I'm like, wow, you just got like, and this guy did not have, quote unquote, that I knew of, unexpressed anger. But I said, how are things at work? I mean, I was just getting dead ends everywhere. And then he said, well, Jodi, I started dating someone new. And I was like, oh, okay. His glute pain was straight up physical. He had been engaging in some new activity that he didn't necessarily want to talk about. And that's cool. Sometimes this stuff is straight up physical. Sometimes it has the underpinnings of mental and emotional triggers. All right. Final example, and then we'll open up for some questions. And that is for knees. Oh, I love working with knees. One of my clients, longtime runner, longtime basketball player, now entering his 60s, having chronic left knee pain. And went through all of the kind of indicators, got to the ortho, had an MRI, ended up needing a knee replacement. He did physical therapy after the knee replacement. He's almost as good as new. Straight up physical. Now, Keith, by comparison, was talking to me about his knee pain. And Keith was both a high school and a college baseball catcher. So he sat down, he did a big deep lunge for many hours at a time, definitely putting pressure on his knees. And I said, yeah, you're a catcher, Keith. Most likely it's just straight up physical. He said, no. What does it mean? What does it mean? I said, well, let's see. Right side of the body is masculine, left side of the body is feminine. So this would be a feminine issue, or a feminine role in your life. And knees in traditional Chinese medicine, represent bowing down, bending your will. And I said, so it would be bending your will probably to a female. He said, well, that's interesting. I'm having the hardest time right now with my girlfriend. She's so jealous. We can't even go out. Like, I can't even talk to anybody, male or female, when we go out. She wants all the attention. So I just don't talk to people when I go out. I said, well, that might have something to do with it. Oddly enough, he ended up resolving the issue. He ended up breaking up with his girlfriend. And a couple of weeks later, he said, Jodi, my knee pain has been a lot better since I'm not seeing her. Coincidence? Maybe. Just throwing it out there as an option. So in closing, I would invite you with this body blueprint idea. Each body part has a physical scenario, but it also has a mental and an emotional. In fact, researchers now are calling it the biopsychosocial approach to treatment of pain. The biopsychosocial approach to the treatment of pain. With this new information, I would ask you to please be compassionate, to please be gentle as you engage in conversations, whether it's a conversation with a friend, a loved one, or even a conversation with yourself. In fact, the door to deeper understanding of this topic is asking questions. Questions like, what am I learning from this pain? What can I be grateful for right now in the midst of this pain? If I had to take a guess at what was bugging me, I would say it's, or maybe a question like, if I could change something about my life right now, it would be. So the body blueprint doesn't replace massage. It doesn't replace traditional medicine. The body blueprint is there to be another tool in your toolbox, there to enhance a session. I'd like to remind those people who are listening that as massage therapists, we don't heal our clients. We facilitate a space that allows the body to heal. Our bodies have this innate ability to heal. We just have to pay attention and cooperate. I invite you to share this concept of the body blueprint with your classmates, your students, your clients. But again, please be gentle, be compassionate. And if you choose to share this information, explore with the curiosity of a detective. But remember to bring the heart of a healer. So I believe we have a few minutes for Q&A. Were there questions that came up in the chat? Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. I had a question that came up and said, some clients are going to be skeptical about these ideas. How would I deal with that? In fact, I'm going to stick these questions right in the chat. That way you can see them. All right. Let's see. So if the clients are skeptical about the body blueprint, I'm not here to convince anybody. Yeah, this is their journey. And so if that's not something that they can hear right now, no problem. Yeah, that's no problem. We're not here to use make people wrong or to make them uncomfortable. We're here to support that journey. Let's see. Oh, if I want a one-to-one session with you, do you offer this over the phone? I do. So if you are curious about the body blueprint, I do consultations with people in pain, and I do consultations with body workers. So on the one side, understanding a person's pain, and we walk through what the story could be, what story pain is trying to tell for people in pain. And then if you're a body worker, we talk about the concept of the body blueprint. And so we do that one-to-one over the phone or via Zoom like this. Another question. Oh, the invite mentioned that you'll speak at a TED Talk. Yes, I will be speaking at TEDx. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but you probably watched them in school even. So you can Google on YouTube TED Talks, TEDx, and they're 18-minute talks that basically is an idea worth sharing. And my TED Talk will be October 24th, given that the pandemic doesn't interrupt that plan. So this year, October 24th, and it will be on the body blueprint. It'll be sharing stories of transformation by understanding the mental and emotional underpinnings of the pain. As a therapist, how do I address this for myself? Oh, good question. So there's, like I said, there's tons of books that are available. As a therapist, if you have pain, then we can look at that. But as a therapist, if you'd like to bring this into the treatment room, then typically we ask open-ended questions. So not yes or no questions. One of the things that's really important, I had said step number 1 was explore the physical pain. Step number 2 is explore the mental, emotional. Step number 3 is be quiet. Explore, but then shut it. There's not enough silence in treatment rooms these days, guys, gals. So let the person think. Let them, sometimes it takes a few minutes. I mean, I can tell you story after story about people waking up to the emotional component of the physical symptom that they're experiencing. So, great. Let's see. I have another question in the chat. When I was a student many years ago, we studied Jinshin Do. This sounds a lot like that Absolutely. It's absolutely just like that. Yes. That the body's blueprint, there's a map of the body and what all of these body parts represent. And so as body workers, as massage therapists, we look at the physical, we treat the physical. But sometimes, I mean, how often are you going to treat a shoulder? Until you refer them to an ortho, and guess what tools they have in their toolbox? I mean, orthopedic surgeons do surgery. So we have to look at other tools that are complementary, not alternative, but complementary, that can help our clients truly heal. Because say they get that rotator cuff repaired, but the issue is really an imbalance of responsibility. It's just going to come back. I believe that may have covered all the questions, Donnell. I want to say thank you very much for being here, guys and gals. I am really passionate about this topic. I love talking to body workers about this topic. I love talking to teachers about this topic, and I would welcome communication from you after this session. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Jodi, for helping launch our EDU-Talk series. And what I would like to tell everyone is that this session has been recorded this evening. All EDU-Talks going forward will be hosted on the Biotone website. And tomorrow I will be emailing a follow-up with a link to the recorded session from tonight. It will include, again, Jodi's contact information. And it will also include a contest for the people attending tonight, that their names will be entered into a contest to win a Biotone product by Lab Blends. And we have a great August lineup. And in fact, in August, we have 3 different talks. It's really taking off. We have Susan Salvo presenting a talk on documentation. We have Melinda Ney doing a basic why incorporate craniosacral therapy into your practice. And we have Cherie Sonimo, how to kickstart your marketing while still in school. So some great topics coming up, and it doesn't stop there. We've got topics on the lineup through March 2021. We look forward to you all joining us there or coming back to the Biotone website for EDU-Talks or the EDU-Talk library, and listening to Jodi again, and in the coming weeks, listening to our other speakers. I want to thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions in wrapping this up? Any last questions or thoughts? Well, we're getting a lot of thank yous. So we thank you for attending. And again, jodischoles.com. And on behalf of Biotone and the Biotone Edu Partner Program, we thank you for being a participant attendee in the first EDU-Talk. Thank you. Good night.